All right, joining us right now is Mr. Satish Maneshinde, the lawyer for Rhea Chakraborty. Mr. Maneshinde, first of all, I don't know whether I should be congratulating you or not for this bail, because she's still out on bail, and we must be cognizant of the fact that she is still an accused in the eyes of the law. She's not innocent, or at least innocent till proven guilty, but not out of the woods yet. Those charges are still there. I want to know from you, how would you read the assessment of the court in the bail order that was given on all the charges that were leveled against her?
I'm delighted with the order of the Honorable High Court, and particularly Justice Kotwal has taken pains to render a long judgment of 70 pages at such a short time and considered all aspects of law and come to a finding that Rhea Chakraborty was entitled to bail. Now, apart from that main finding, it gives us impetus to tell us that the judge has found that there is no evidence of any financing or harboring as required under Section 27A of the NDPS Act, which was the harsh point of law that was attracted by the NCB just to keep her in illegal custody. Secondly, the judge has also accepted her case that she was only procuring drugs for her boyfriend and a partner that she was living with, and she was not making any profits out of the procurement that she was dealing, because it was not being passed over to somebody else. The consumer was in the house. Apart from that, the judge has also found that there is no commercial quantity involved in this case. It's a small quantity. At worst, a person could be accused of an offense under Section 18 or 22, as defined in Section 8C of the Act. So therefore, there is a clear finding that she is not guilty of any offense for which an embargo under Section 37 of the NDPS Act would be applicable, because it needs a commercial quantity, or there is not a graver offense where an embargo would apply. Therefore, I am grateful to the Honorable High Court that apart from the fact that he has dealt with every accused separately, he has had to go through the entire material that we submitted him over 7 hours, particularly in a situation where we had the pandemic, and he has rendered this judgment at such short interval.
Mr. Maneshinde, this point, there was one point particularly that was very crucial, where the court said that there is no special liability or privilege for celebrities and role models before the court of law, that in the eyes of the law everyone's equal, because the ASG seemed to suggest that exemplary punishment must be given to set an example so that nobody indulges in this sort of a crime.
Well,
do you think that there was a hate campaign, coordinated hate campaign?
It was obviously a hate campaign, and unfortunately, I have been saying it from the first day that she is being hounded because she was the girlfriend of Sushant Singh Rajput. She was a live-in partner. She almost shared the house like a housewife. Other than marriage, there was everything which was under the sun, which was happening between both of them. And she was living like a housewife. Therefore, the reason for which she was being hounded is just because the family was after her. I don't know for what reason. The family seems to be very vindictive as far as Rhea Chakraborty is concerned. Apart from that, I've been saying that the central agencies, CBI, ED and NCB, were hounding her only because she was the housewife or a living partner of the gentleman. Therefore, how can somebody who was living with him for all these years, for more than 18 months, could be accused or just because she is the celebrity's wife? Apart from that, the NCB is trying to make out a case that this is a full-blown case in the Bollywood and trying to target people one by one, calling and parading people one by one, particularly the actresses who had not even a concern. And there were 2 teams created. Unfortunately, the NCB team created for investigation of Section 15 has not arrested a single person. The NCB team which was conducting investigation in 16 or 20, where all these arrests have taken place, was only to drag in people. We know the officer who was involved in this case, who has hounded these people to such an extent that he personally went to the house of Sushant Singh Rajput's partner, Rhea Chakraborty, to serve summons on her. Is it ever done It's a PU's job.
Mr.
And
Maneshinde, I know this is not in the realm of, you're saying. I'll ask my question.
I have
You
always
wanted
been
to say
saying
something.
the status of a person should not be considered in the eyes of law. Just because a person who is a rich person or a celebrity or a poor person, they should not be treated unequally. Law is equal for all the people.
And you're happy that the court has set the record straight? You're happy that the court at least has set the record straight?
I'm delighted that the learned judge has accepted almost all of our arguments on facts. On law, he has decided points against the offences being non-bailable. That we will examine the issue and we will accept the judgment of the Honorable High Court the way it has come, and it has brought light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, Mr. Maneshinde, I know a learned and a senior lawyer like you with a lot of experience is going to refrain from answering this question, but I have to ask it nonetheless. You're basically trying to say that agencies, governments, leaders, news channels, websites, and we'll come to news channels in just a moment, were all hounding Rhea Chakraborty. What in your wisdom could be the reason? I'm sure you must have asked this question. Why?
Well, first of all, during this pandemic, there were no stories that were coming except the coronavirus, which was, attacking a large number of citizens. The government has been taking its own efforts to solve the problem. But the media channels, particularly those which are hounding her, were only doing it for the TRP because with the entire population locked up in their homes, they had to switch on to the TV somehow or the other. And they were, fomenting all these fake news and bogus stories time in and time out. And if you see those channels today, just because Rhea Chakraborty has got a victory from the bail order and she's out and almost a finding that she's not guilty of any serious offense, the stories on those channels are missing. You can have a look at the channels.
Yeah. Shoot and scoot.
Shoot and scoot.
It's a basic model. I don't know if you know, Mr. Maneshinde, the model really is that you lock a target, lock a villain, and then go hound that person. And then after that, once the falsehoods are exposed, then lock another target, another villain, and move on. Shoot and scoot. But then my question to you is, Mr. Maneshinde, then are we going to allow this to happen?
Well, I don't think the law will allow this to happen. The Bombay High Court is examining the role of the media in this media trial. The Supreme Court is also examining the role of the media in this media trial. And ultimately, I'm sure someday a finding will come, like it has come in a number of cases where, the corrupt politicians, corrupt members of parliament were all being taken to task and their trials are expedited. Similarly, these corrupt journalists who are trying to hoodwink the law and create, stories to sell their own TRP will be brought to book. Honest journalism is failing.
Will you call their act criminal?
I obviously.
Would you say that what they're doing is a criminal act?
Dishonest gains.
Mr. Maneshinde, would you call their act a criminal, an act of criminal intent?
Anything which is, at the cost of dishonest and, to make a wrongful gain. I say that what they are doing today, by creating a wrong impression in the mind of the public, by raising fake and bogus stories, they are selling news which is fake. So obviously they are profiting from these activities. So it is obviously criminal in nature. They should be brought to book for making a wrongful gain.
Mr. Maneshinde, just before you came on the show, we were discussing on a panel on what people can do. I mean, today it is Rhea Chakraborty. Tomorrow it could be Satish Maneshinde. I mean, I'm a small fry. It will never happen to me. But it can happen to you. How will you protect yourself? I mean, there can be this hounding, systematic hounding by the media, by some extremely powerful VVIP anchors of anyone. I mean, is there any law in this country to prevent this hounding?
What makes you feel that I have not been hounded? In fact, one channel was discussing my fees and my cars and my plush office and the way I have come up in life to such an extent that hours and hours were utilized by that channel to discuss about my status in life, which is not anybody's concern. They were discussing as to what are my fees that I'm going to charge Rhea Chakraborty. I'm a charge of tens and thousands of crores. How are they concerned? And what makes you feel?
I mean, you'll be answerable to the agency.
There was so much attack in social media, as far as I'm concerned. So it's unfortunate that India has come to this status.
But how do we protect ourselves? If you have established that this is a criminal act, if you have established that this is wrong, if you have established that this is going to harm and cause irreparable damage to the person who's at the receiving end, then is there anything in this country's law or legal framework that can prevent this act from happening? Or are we to expect this TV lynch mob to exist?
I have always said that people attack only a successful man. They won't attack a man on the footpath and who is lying injured. They'll attack only a successful man. So many a time I just laugh it off. You know, all these 37 years of my life, I've had so many attacks on me because I accepted various kinds of cases. When I accepted cases of the people who were involved in Khalistani movement during those days, I was called anti-national. When I appeared for people who were connected with the Indira Gandhi assassination case, I was called an anti-national. When I accepted the cases of various other people in the Tata cases, I was called a lawyer who is helping terrorists. Only people who are in trouble who come to me, they know what exactly I do in my office. It's only those people who come
Mr.
to me like
Maneshinde,
that, who are hounded, who know exactly what happens in the system. They know that what a lawyer does. Every criminal lawyer may be accepting cases of people accused of crime, but they are doing their duty before a court of law, as much as a doctor is doing.
Sure. And it's a constitutional duty. I mean, this is something which even terrorists are entitled to legal. Yeah. Mr. Maneshinde, now a few questions about your client. Did you meet Rhea today?
Well, I personally went to a jail to see a client after so many years because she was hounded and I wanted to see the condition that she was in. But I was fortunate to see that she was in good spirits. She looked after herself in the jail. She used to conduct yoga for herself and for her jail inmates. She adjusted herself with the food she was getting in the jail because she could not get home food because of the pandemic. And she lived with the inmates as if she was a commoner. And being an army girl, her father is a defense officer. Having been brought up in the army atmosphere in the true spirit, she fought the conditions like a battle. And she is ready to face any person who is trying to accuse her and harm her interests.
So now that bail has happened, what's about the beyond now? What is Rhea Chakraborty planning to do as far as all those people who ruined her reputation, who tried to cause irreparable damage? Is Rhea Chakraborty and Satish Maneshinde, are you going to fight this out and punish those who you feel have brought you to this position?
So we will do whatever is required under the law to fight the illegal, malicious campaign that was carried against her by various channels, various media houses, and various scums in the media world.
Okay, those are strong words, Mr. Maneshinde. Is this the sentiment that Rhea also holds? That she wants to fight these scums?
Her sentiments are much stronger than mine.
Till the very end?
Her sentiments are much stronger than mine. She's a fighter, she's a tigress, she's a Bengali tigress, and she'll fight for it.
She'll fight all those who destroyed her reputation in the media. That's what you're saying at this
point.
Tried
to destroy.
And it's her wish that this is done.
Her name and reputation is intact. She'll fight all those idiots who tried to spoil her reputation and her future. She'll fight each one of them. And the same guys
all right.
aligned
Mr. Maneshinde, Yeah.
interview. Shameless people.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. The same guy?
Guys who defamed her, who castigated her, and who called her names are lining outside my office for interviews with Rhea Chakraborty and my office. Can you imagine the shameless people that we have in our society? They have no
Well,
face to.
can't comment.
It's totally
Can't comment. But see, the point is, Mr. Maneshinde, obviously, well, let's agree that there has to be a limit to the madness in the name of journalism. And if in this case you say that you're going to fight this one out and Rhea is going to fight this one out, I can only call this some great service that will be done to the profession itself. Will you be willing to do this all the way long? Because, you know, a lot of people say that there has to be a complainant. There has to be someone who will do it. These matters tend to fizzle out because we are talking about the media. It becomes about freedom of speech and expression. That's why if you see that nobody is taken suo moto cognizance.
Freedom of speech and expression is not unrestricted. The Constitution bench of the Supreme Court has said that you can't take anything for granted. Everything has to be measured. If it is violating any law, it will be brought to book and people will be punished. So people who have violated the law, who have been abusing people on the electronic media, who have been castigating people, should be prepared to go to jail.
So you're saying that you will put behind bars the scums in the Indian media?
Definitely.
All right. Mr. Satish Maneshinde, thank you so much for joining us right here on NDTV. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
All right, with that, it's a wrap in this edition of Left, Right and Centre, but news continues. But before we wrap, I want to say this again. As a member of this fraternity, there has to be an end to the madness. That is why we urge all of you all, please join the NDTV campaign, the No Hate for Profit campaign. Trust me, news is not always about what you want to see. It has to be about what you should know. And that's what you get in NDTV. That's what you get on this channel. 32 years and counting. Good night and goodbye.